What's up, everyone? John Rettinger from Techno Buffalo here with a full review for you of the first fruit of the Nokia-Microsoft partnership. This is the Lumia 800. It's been no secret that Nokia's got a huge amount to lose or gain running Windows Phone 7.5 on their devices. Let's go ahead and see if this is a step in the right direction towards the Finnish company's revival. Alright, so before I jump into the phone review, let me remind you of the specs of the Lumia 800. First, it's running Windows Phone 7.5, commonly called Mango, which is highlighted by these live tiles, and we'll talk a lot about Mango as we go through and do the full review. From a dimension standpoint, it's 4.59 inches by 2.41 inches by 0.48 inches, and that's in the thickness department. It weighs 5.01 ounces, so it's heavy enough to definitely know you're there, but not too heavy that it's going to feel like a bird to carry around. It's got a 3.7 inch, and that's measured diagonal screen, with a resolution of 480 by 800. That's Corning Gorilla Glass. It's an AMOLED display, and it's a PPI of 252. From a battery standpoint, you're going to get 13 hours of talk time and 265 hours of standby time by its 1,450 milliamp hour battery. And Windows Phone 7 really uses battery very judiciously, so you're going to have no problem getting through a full day with this guy. It's being powered by a 1.4 gigahertz single-core Snapdragon processor, augmented with 512 megabytes of RAM, 16 gigs of internal storage, which is not expandable via micro USB. On the back, it's got an 8 megapixel camera with dual LED flash that's capable of shooting 720p video at 30 frames per second. It has not been, it's a little puppy, has not been announced on a US carrier yet, and it's available in the UK in November, and hopefully will be coming to the US sometime toward the end of this year or possibly next year. All right, so now you know that what the phone's got in it. How's it going to perform as a phone? It doesn't matter what a phone can hypothetically do. If it's not going to make good phone calls, not going to be much use to you. So this is an unlocked phone, and I do want to preface this by saying this is a prototype phone. This is not a production model. Nokia, who sent this to us for review, was very clear that this is not the final software build, although the hardware is presumably final. So I did test this on AT&T's network. It's a GSM unlocked phone with support for AT&T's 850 3G band. Call quality was great. I didn't have any drop calls in my 20 call test. Speakerphone was quite loud, and overall just a very pleasant call experience. So not to worry if you want to use this as a phone. Very typical Nokia. You're getting some excellent build quality. And speaking about build quality, let's go ahead and talk about this design, because it's a little bit unique. So let me go ahead and turn the screen off so you can see it a little bit better. A little bit of a fingerprint magnet, but probably the best as far as deflecting fingerprints with a sort of oleophobic coating that I've seen on most devices. So it's got a curved glass display. I'm hoping that that's going to translate on camera. You can see it there. It really is a beautiful phone to look at. Nokia's build quality is absolutely outstanding. Some would say legendary in the phone industry. You'll see that there's a seam down here at the bottom. You can see a change from shiny to matte, but you can't even feel that seam when you put your finger over it. As you use this phone, you're very conscious that you're holding a device where a lot of time and detail was spent into the industrial design of it. And the industrial design was mostly done for the N9. This is very much a Nokia N9 retread phone, but not necessarily a bad thing. The N9 was a fantastic phone. The main difference here is obviously the operating system. It's not running MeeGo, but there's the addition of a camera button living right down there that the N9 didn't have. Also a big omission that the N9 didn't have is a front-facing camera, which this does not have either. I'll talk about that a bit more. The weight feels very good, as I mentioned, without feeling heavy. It feels really solid in the hand. I mean, it's a phone that you really know that you're using a high-quality device, and it feels really good. However, there are some weird things that Nokia went with here. Let's go ahead and look at the top of the phone. And this is where that weirdness lives. If you want to charge the phone, you got to hit this little dot. Go ahead and push that, and then you're going to get the charging port. Now, if you look at this from the side, this just looks like it's waiting to be broken off, especially as you're trying to put a cord in there to charge. Your finger can hit it. It's bound to get snapped. It's bound to fall off. This doesn't make much sense. Perhaps even odder, if you want to get to the micro SIM, you got to slide that off to the side, and then you could drop in your micro SIM card. So it's a bit of a convoluted process. to not only get to the SIM card, but to charge your phone. It's something you're going to have to do pretty regularly. So keep in mind that that's a bit of an annoyance. By no means a deal breaker, but definitely an odd choice from Nokia. So generally when I do my phone reviews, I don't talk that much about the operating system, but I don't review that many Windows Phone 7 devices, let alone Windows 7.5 devices. So I feel it's necessary to talk a little bit about Windows Phone 7.5. I don't think it gets the attention or the love that it deserves. I'm a huge fan of this operating system. 7.5 has a lot of nice features in here, highlighted, in my opinion, by multitasking. If you hold down the back button, you can essentially scroll through different applications. Find the one you want and click it. So if I wanted to say jump into the camera, which I will in a minute, and show you images here, I would just do that. If you go back, you can jump back to the home screen or wherever you were. It uses what Microsoft calls tombstoning. It essentially suspends the application whether you're in a game, whatever you're doing, and brings you right back to where it is when you open it up. You've got addition now of universal inbox, so you can have multiple email accounts to one inbox, which was a huge omission in previous versions. I've been really impressed with the new live tiles as well. These are live tiles, and they update information sort of live as you go. As you can see, I've got some people there. It pulls together all of your social media as well, so it'll tie together Twitter and Facebook. You can send tweets and images right from the operating system. It's a really elegant operating system, probably one of my favorite out there. It's a joy to use, and it's very smooth and fluid. Don't be too caught up in the specs saying, oh, it's only single core. You know, Android has dual core and quad cores coming. At least in my mind, it's all about the user experience. And Windows Phone 7 delivers an excellent user experience. It's really smooth and fluid. I didn't feel even a slight OS stutter here at all, and everything just worked absolutely wonderfully. And speaking of operating system, let's go ahead and talk about some of the Nokia add-ons here, because Nokia did add some custom things to separate this from other Windows Phone 7 devices. You can see two of the main ones right there, Nokia Drive and Nokia Maps. Essentially what this is going to be, it's going to be a turn-by-turn navigation and give you access to a tremendous mapping system from Nokia. So it'll turn it into a full turn-by-turn navigation. It doesn't have to have data, which is nice. You can download the maps before you go, and you can go ahead and get started. You can download it all from Marketplace. Works pretty nicely. I didn't get a chance to test it that thoroughly, but from demonstrations I've seen, it's been a nice addition. Certainly you've got Bing Maps here as well. You've got Nokia Music, and then you've got music and videos from Zune, and you can access music and videos from the Marketplace, which we'll talk about a bit later. However, one of the best features for me was that guy right there, Contacts Transfer. What that'll do, it'll essentially pair up with any Bluetooth phone you've got, and it'll pull in all of your contacts. It made life so much easier. So when I was using this phone as my daily driver, I was using an iPhone prior. I paired my iPhone 4S to this. It asked me if I wanted to import all 200 contacts I had, and just imported them all. It was an absolute piece of cake. You can't sync from a PC without much difficulty your contacts over, but if you want to sync your contacts from a Mac, you're going to run into some problems. So this is a great way to work around that. However, if you want to sync photos or video, you're not going to have any trouble at all. The desktop application for Mac and PC will do that very eloquently. So no need to worry with that as well. All right, so let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about the screen here. Let's talk about how text looks. Text on here is absolutely beautiful. It's an AMOLED screen. It's typical Nokia's build quality. Things are just really easy to read. The resolution isn't necessarily the highest with the 480 by 800, but you don't have any sort of pixelation. And for somebody who doesn't have the best eyes, like me, I like the text looking a little bit larger. So, you know, take that with a grain of salt. You're definitely going to want to look at the display before you buy it if you can, or at least watch videos like you're watching now, or read reviews to see if the screen resolution is going to bother you. For me, it's almost the sweet spot. So go ahead and sort of keep scrolling so you can see what that looks like. Text and pictures look beautiful on here as well. So let me show you those pictures. I'll use multitasking. We'll jump into the picture of, this is going to be my puppy. She's only 4 weeks old. She's a French bulldog. We'll get her in just about a month. Her name is going to be Lucy, so Lucy can be the star of this video. Pinch to zoom works extremely well. Probably the most fluid I've seen this side of iOS, or just as fluid as iOS. Just very nice and very elegant operating system. Sometimes you'll see those 3 dots in the bottom. Go ahead and choose how you want to share it. And oftentimes a wildcard with Windows Phone 7 is long pressing the screen. You don't know what it's going to do. Sometimes it'll do something, sometimes it won't. You learn to adjust the operating system as you go through and use it. All right, so let's go ahead and talk now about this camera on the back. I don't generally focus that much on the cameras in my reviews because in all honesty, I'm not a camera guy. If I snap a picture and it looks fine to me, then that's all I need. But there's been some question about the camera here. It is an 8 megapixel camera, as I mentioned, but the camera's not working all that well. These are prototype devices, so that might account for it. Our own Noah Kravitz has his own Lumia 800 he's been reviewing, and camera quality has looked not so good. It almost looked like he was taking his photos through plastic wrap, and you can see what those pictures look like here. I haven't had such problems. The camera's looked okay. As you can see, what my picture has looked like of the same setting. But we are hearing reports that other bloggers and journalists who have reviewed this, some are having camera problems, some are not. Hopefully that'll be fixed by the time this guy gets to market. Also a bit of a gripe, we've had trouble using the USB mass storage on Lumia 800, so directly dragging your content to the phone has not been possible for us. Hopefully, again, that will be fixed. So some other small minor complaints here. On the right-hand side where all the buttons live, that button at the bottom is your lock and power button. It's a bit hard to find when you're holding the phone and you're not looking at it. You can feel like the volume rocker might be that power lock button. It's hard to sort of go down to hit that. I would have wished it was up higher. And also wishing I would have liked there have been a profile switcher somewhere on here to access ring or vibrate to make changes. And this is more of a gripe with Windows Phone 7. If you want to see how much battery you have to actually sort of pull down there, and then you get the meter. It doesn't always show it. It's a bit of an annoyance, but not a giant one. So let's go ahead and talk about apps and Marketplace. One of the fears I had with switching to Windows Phone 7 was that I wasn't going to have all the apps that I wanted. And to some extent that's true, to some extent it's not true. One of the great things about the Android ecosystem and about the iOS ecosystem is that there are a ton of apps for anything you can think of. Chances are they got 17 apps for it. That's not going to be the case here with Windows Phone 7. But the apps that you use the most and the ones you always come back to, most of them have been here. It's been a really fun experience to sort of find new applications. One of the big ones for me that I was worried about was WhatsApp's an instant messaging client. So that's in here. A ton of games. You can see all the music. Really, it's been quite surprising how robust this has been. And really, I haven't had much trouble finding substitutes for any apps that I ever needed. Most of them are all here. So you can see all and see what things look like as you scroll through here. One absent thing I haven't been able to find, though, yet is Pandora, but having things like Nokia Music make it very nice. There's an excellent Spotify application, so there are other sort of apps that'll do different things. Sirius XM has been a nice one that I've been using to access my satellite radio content right on the phone. You can see the apps that I've got on here. Some of them are on my home screen. WhatsApp being the biggest one. In the Know for Google Analytics sort of shows up on the live tile, which is kind of nice. And I'll show you the other apps that I've downloaded on here as well. Flickster, Facebook, Kindle, speed test. I love speed testing things. Internet Explorer obviously comes standard. Oops, go back here. Netflix is on here. I can go ahead and scroll smoothly. Netflix lives on here. There's full Microsoft Office support. There's another analytics application. There are some third-party browsers. Twitter, of course, is going to come on the phone, or you have to download the application. Just works, very well. So when I say Twitter comes on the phone, there's native Twitter support, but you need to download the Twitter application. These are just minor sort of things to keep in mind. Overall, though, the phone has been absolutely outstanding, and there aren't that many phones that are reviewed that I can say unequivocally, I could use this, or unequivocally, I can recommend this phone to you. This is one of those phones. This is an elegant operating system on a great hardware that delivers really outstanding end user experience. The complaints I had were very minor. If you're in the market for a new phone, you owe it to yourself to go look at a Windows Phone 7 device. It is an absolutely tremendous operating system. Specs matter much less on Windows Phone 7. It uses battery very well. It's got great call quality, at least on the hardware that I've tested in the past. Things just work well on it. It may not be the most initially intuitive, but you learn to use the operating system. And this is one operating system I would be happy to use, carry in my pocket every day and call my daily driver. This is the phone Nokia fans have been waiting for. This is the phone that Nokia fans deserve. And I think they're going to be very enthusiastic and excited by what comes out of Nokia in the future and their partnership with Microsoft. I'm John Rettinger from Techno Buffalo. For all your tech news, be sure to check us out. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.